Kingpin sentenced to life for 40 tons of marijuana. You're in a zoo full of predators. It's not really for the weak. You had to make it where Trump did it in the last 2 minutes in office, right?
It seemed like it wasn't going to happen.
Like he walked out the door and said, oh shit, babe, before 12 o'clock, let me make sure I sign Corvain Cooper.
Wow.
Because at 11:30, I wasn't even on the list. Your mental health is going to go through some things, and sometimes you're going to have to cry, and you're going to have to let them tears out and just let it out and start over. I used to see dudes in there, and they would be like arguing with the girl on the phone. I'm like, bro, you're already in the worst predicament in the world.
Yeah, why are you arguing with her? You're making it worse. What's good, y'all? It's your guy, JoJo Simmons, and this is the For Good podcast, where we focus on the good and never the bad, where we're measured on what we do and not what we have. And today, my guest is my good friend, Corvain Cooper. Good to have you here, my brother, Mr. 40 Tons himself.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. I'm blessed.
Glad to have you here, man. First of all, thank you for coming on.
I'm happy to be here.
First I want to tell the people how we know each other and, why we know each other. So, some people don't know I'm in the cannabis space when it comes to content, media, and like marketing and things like that.
Right.
And I ended up, while being around in the cannabis community, I aligned with a couple different organizations and businesses that, I felt that were of my morals and of what I, believed I wanted to do in the space. And one organization that I want to shout out is, the LPP. Yeah. Last Prisoner Project, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up, which I'm still an ambassador at LPP. I advocate for people like you who are in prison for cannabis and want them, get out and good things like that. Mm-hmm. So while being there, my partner, David Dow, right?
Yeah.
He, we're storytellers, 3S4. We like to tell stories. We like to tell the good stories and really re-educate people on things and people in the cannabis space. And he came across your story, which is a very interesting story, which we'll get into, a little bit more during this podcast. But basically, you went to jail prison for 40 tons of marijuana, right?
Yeah, correct.
So can you explain a little bit more of your story in a nutshell, like kind of, not quickly, but like, because I know you could probably be here for days and weeks.
days and days and going
So
on.
explain your story a little bit about you being this, Kingpin, right? They called you, and then getting out through Donald Trump, Clemency, right?
Yeah.
Which is a story in its own. Right. Explain your story a little bit to the consumer and to the people that are watching.
So in October of 2013, me, Evelyn LaChapelle, and Natalia Wade all went to trial in the Western District of Charlotte, North Carolina. And after our trial for the 40 Tons conspiracy, it read, man sentenced, Kingpin sentenced to life for 40 tons of marijuana. And I woke up to this newspaper clipping every single day while I was in prison. And I used to carry it with me. I was obsessed with it. It was in my Bible. It was just everywhere that I went. If I went to a new institution, the only thing I cared about was where was the newspaper clipping, because I was always taught that I was going to change this and I was going to turn this around. I never accepted that I was going to die in prison or have a life without the possibility of parole. So I said I was going to turn this minus into a plus some kind of way. The same thing that took me down is the same thing that wanted to bring me back up. So with the 40 Tons conspiracy, before we even get into that, that's how 40 Tons was birthed, and that's how 40 Tons started. But as far as like the marijuana goes, and I started with 1 pound with me and my friend Ant. We were actually started with an eighth, and we flipped the eighth, actually.
Wow.
Right. So we flipped the eighth and we built it up. Once we started sending the weed out of town, if I found out that you really didn't even need any money, actually. I mean, well, you needed money, but you needed, back then it was the stress brick Reggie, right?
Regular weed.
Regular weed. You get it for $300 out of here.
Sticks and stones, all of it and everything.
I don't even know if it tests for weed, right? And then you get $600 for it out of town on the East Coast. Right. So, but your money comes back the next day. So originally, if you're next day in it and you got your money back the next day, that's every day a week, Monday through Friday. You can make 15 grand off just your initial $3 grand.
So 15 grand a day.
No, you can make $3,000 a day. So 15,000 a week. Right. So You can make 60 grand off of just an initial $3,000
Right.
if you had a good person on the other side of the world, someone to get the money back, and it can just flow like that, and it can just flow, and that's how it reaches to the 40 tons because it was a consistent thing. There's other members that were involved actually,
Right.
so it was just tallied up with some kind of guesstimated.
So he basically guesstimated, but it could have been more.
It could have been more, it could have been less. You know what I mean? It could have been 80.
Right.
It could be 80
tons. Could have been 80 tons. Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? But
so
they
you got out of jail and obviously made the name 40 Tons into a brand, right?
Yeah.
What is 40 Tons and what are you looking to do with the brand?
So with the 40 Tons, with the brand, the main goal is to let everyone know that nobody should be in prison for a plant. That's the main goal. Right. And to get the people out that are currently constituents. So when you go to 40tons.co and 40 Tons brand and you learn about like our career hiring fairs.
Right.
Because if I had my record expunged, this would have never happened. Right. You can't get 3 strikes if you had your record expunged because I was one of the front people for Prop 64 and Prop 47. And I got those both priors took off my jacket. Right. And that's all we were asking the courts to do, but everything happens for a reason. We were actually going to the Supreme Court, and I got denied, saying, well, he no longer has these priors today. Can he just be resentenced, right? But the way God works is if that happened, then I would have got resentenced. I just would have came home, another black male that had 10 years in prison, and it wouldn't have been no hula about it, right? So the way that God works, he had to do it with some kind of extraordinary plan. Right, he had to make it where Trump did it in the last 2 minutes in office. Right, so it didn't happen like it happened immediately when he did everybody else's.
It seemed like it wasn't going to happen.
It was like it's like he walked out the door and said, "Oh shit, babe, before 12 o'clock, let me make sure I sign Corvain Cooper."
Wow,
because at 11:30, I wasn't even on the list,
and that's what it felt like to you.
Because I checked NPR at 11:30, and it's like shit. I gotta get suited back to do a life sentence again and back do my time because it wasn't on NPR yet, and it wasn't on CNN. I was checking every 30 minutes on the day that, Harry O had got his, Lil Wayne had got his, Kodak had got his. Everybody had got theirs on that day, and shout outs to them, right? And I still didn't see my name, and I had probably like the biggest push as far as like a marijuana prisoner with Rob Gomes and Nas did the documentary, the Smoke documentary that brought a lot of light to my case, So
you say you had 3 strikes. The other 2 strikes were non-violent offenses, correct?
Yes. So we want people to know, this is another thing that we teach in 40 Tons, and I teach this in a lot of our courses. It's because I had 1 pound of marijuana and I had a bottle of cough syrup was my 2 priors. And I hear people rap about it, hang out with it. They talk about it in a lot of songs. And I don't think that they know that those are 2 drug priors, right? So if you get caught on a 3rd and get caught a conspiracy today, we have people that we're advocating today. This can happen to you if you walked out of this thing right now and someone said, hey, JoJo, nah, man, I don't like JoJo out there. He got the 3S4. He out there chilling. Remember when JoJo sent me them 5 pounds? He's adding that to his conspiracy because he's sitting on the bunk. They give you a lot of power of people that's in prison. People that's in prison have more power than you think. Right. So our conspiracy, the 40 Tons conspiracy, was built in prison. He built it after he was caught and didn't want to do his time. He built the conspiracy of, hey, Evelyn was getting back the money. He was this. This person was, Natalia was doing this. Corvain was doing this. He built this from a bunk. Right. So someone can just add, as long as they have your phone number and able to say that you made some kind of transaction within the last 5 years, because it's 5 years statute of limitation to get out of the conspiracy. Like my partner Ant, he was 4 years, 6 months. In that last 6 months that he didn't get out the conspiracy, that he got the 200,000 is what tied him into the conspiracy. So if someone can prove that within those last 5 years, this is a person that went and got his PhD, this is a person that went to college, they don't care about that.
Wow.
If you committed that crime less than 5 years ago, they can still come after you. They can still come after you.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into community work, because here at the For Good podcast, that's what we like to focus on, is things that we're doing good for our community. Sometimes things that are not spotlighted or things we don't speak about because we just do it out of the goodness of our heart. So tell us about Canna Christmas charity drive, because that's one of the first things that we linked up on. 3S4 sent a few toys, and we really, created our friendship and our bond off that first. So speak about Can of Christmas Toy Drive.
Can of Christmas Toy Drive was for cannabis prisoners that are currently locked up. And we had to pick certain ones. And we said, well, we had a tree, right, that was set up with people's names and stuff and the things that you need, right? So when a person goes to prison, guess what? They still have bills. The lights still need to be on. They still need food in the refrigerator.
Yep.
The kids still want Christmas, right? So we had to figure out a way to, and what happened was I was a recipient of things like this from Mickey Martin, rest in peace, that did Parents for Pot. They used to give my kids stuff while I was in prison. So I always wanted to always return a favor and do that. So that's kind of how Can of Christmas all started. And me and L'Oreal came up, and she came up with the idea on how to do it and stuff like that. We had to figure out, shout out to L'Oreal on figuring out a way on all the times Anthony went to prison. She wanted to figure out all the Christmases and stuff that she met.
Explain who L'Oreal is to people watching.
L'Oreal is our CEO at 40 Tons, and her husband is Anthony, my partner.
Who is the COO?
Yep. Yeah, so we're all the founders of 40 Tons, and it's just us. We're like a trifecta.
Yep.
You know, so she represents the women that are left behind, right? When shit.
And that's why it was her idea, because she lived that life where
3 times
somebody
already.
goes to jail.
Where he goes to jail, but you still had a light bill.
Their kids still need Christmas toys, and lights still need to be on, and food still needs to be in the refrigerator. So I think the Can of Christmas Toy Drive you guys do is like,
so it was
amazing,
like super
man.
Organic on how we met, because we met on that, and it was like, okay, he cares.
And it was easy for us to support that, because 3 is 4 stands on community and charity, and giving back is one of our main initiatives, and giving to the underprivileged and the underserved. So like when we heard what it stood for, Can of Christmas Toy Drive, and who it was for, and your story, it made sense, and it tied together, and it aligned with us so well. Right. So we appreciate, and you involving us in it, and I appreciate what you do for the community, your community, and
the kids loved it. You know what I mean? You got to understand to put their parents are gone. Yep. Right. Their main provider is gone, and the lady that ended up winning, her husband's home now. She won the top. We had different tiers. Like out of the $9,000 was raised, some people get gifts, or some people get toys, and some people she got like a cash prize, right? So, some people get different stuff on what it is that they needed the most, that they put on their Christmas list. So I think it was dope. Hopefully it's going to be bigger, and we can triple it this year. This year we want to continue to make it triple, and just really, 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 really make this thing a big deal for the people that's locked up.
Before I get into the mind of Corvain, speaking of community, and I don't want to not shed a spotlight on your career conferences you guys do, because besides the kind of Christmas Toy Drive, which I think is amazing, those are also amazing conferences you guys do. Can you explain a little bit what you've done and what states you've done them in?
We started our first 2 here. We did 2 in Hawthorne first. It's just
what they are. Like, can you explain what they are?
Okay,
what is the goal of those?
The goal of those is for the people that are socially impacted, the Black and the brown people that are impacted by the war on drugs, right? To find their seat at the table, to learn how it's 1,000 different jobs in cannabis. People just think it just has something to do with weed. No, you can be in marketing, you can be in this, you can be in that, right? So we do breakout sessions, and we have people that's own 20 stores, or somebody that's owned 10 stores, or somebody that's owned this many grows, where we've linked up with Osherdam, and we give out scholarships. So we've maybe gave out about 50 scholarships worldwide. We have given out over 500,000 in headshots and resumes, and get you on LinkedIn so the job can look for you. You don't have to.
So more than just money, but things that these people really need.
You need a haircut? We're going to give you a haircut. Wow. You need a suit? We're giving you a suit. You want your resume and get your headshot done? We're giving you that. And we're going to give you the information, and we're going to put you in front of the jobs and put the actual jobs there that are actually hiring. And we put the expungement clinic in there so you can get your record expunged as well.
And what states so far have you done them in?
We did 2 in Los Angeles. We did 1 in Oakland. We did 1 in Trenton, New Jersey, and then the last one we did, and for Juneteenth, that was in Chicago, and we rented out Malcolm X College. And that was pretty dope.
I'm praying that it gets bigger and bigger. I'm always here to support that, but I figured that we'd speak about that too, because that's definitely something you're doing in the community, and not just your community, but the community as a whole for people in different states. So let's get into the mind of Corvain.
Okay.
While you were locked up, knowing you were sentenced to life, what was your mindset? What did you look forward to? And what did you think about?
The main thing that I looked forward to was like, I still was a hustler. So the main thing was like, how I'm going to send my kids a check this month.
Right.
So when you get a check, when you hustle and you get money, and I was trading stocks. I learned the stock market. I used to get up at 3 a.m. and call Anthony, and we'd trade options. Call my homegirl Clemency, we'd trade options. Right now, get a put on this. Get it by time lunchtime. I'm selling it. I'm trying to figure out what's going down and what's going up, and who's doing earnings this week and stuff like this. Any way that they can get a check, the check will have their name on it, and I would need them. They were young at the time too, so it's like go bug their mom to go cash their check. Right. But it's like, hey, my dad sent me a check. $300 or $400, right. But if I did that consistently my whole time that I was going,
and that's how you took care of them. Wow.
That's how I got to stay in tune with them and show them that even though I'm not there, I don't care if we're on lockdown, I'm the guy that's screaming on the door, give me a green form so I can send my kids a check.
What was your mindset in there? I mean, I know that's what you looked forward to, but what was your mindset of being in there and having life? Like what did I know? All you said you thought about was your daughters, but what was there to look forward to? Like, what was your mindset? I know you said also earlier that you never believed you were going to die in jail.
I never believed not at 1 second that I was going to die in jail, right? And secondly, another thing that I did was I learned, I stayed busy, right? I learned how to be a bookie. All the sport betting stuff comes from there. So I was the bookie in there. I was the ticket. So basically I was Vegas, right? So I learned sport betting. I opened a restaurant. I don't even know how to cook to this day, but I would back if I see you had talent, but you just didn't have the marketing skills, and I would go put up all the different, I called it old money restaurant. Everybody used to call me old money because I used to carry nothing but old hundreds in my safe deposit box. The picture just had nothing but old hundreds and old 50s. I would collect them, right? So when the feds came, it was like a part of my discovery. So everybody would call me old money. But because I only had little faces, right? So when I seen stuff like that, I would say I'm gonna put this in every unit. We're cooking this week, and we're doing this. I was the first person to do the above the rim tournament in there, so I was birdie for a day. You know what I mean? So nobody went to jail.
So it's safe to say
I let you win $100.
You kept yourself busy until the day God let you out, because you knew I'm not going nowhere. So you were just looking forward to the day you get out. I'm just gonna do what I can do.
It was like he was working with me.
Right.
God was working with me, and he needed to mature me. He needed me to become a better father, a better son, a better friend. And he had to sit me down for a minute so I can get his full attention, and that I can only depend on him because he's a jealous God. So he wants you, sometimes you're dependent on the money or you're dependent on the streets, right? And with him being a jealous God, it's like, all you got to do is depend on me. So some of the things that I used to hustle for now I get for free. You know what I mean?
So you spoke about getting your daughter's money while being in jail and, trying to balance that life. Tell us about your journey in parenthood. And how did you manage to parent while being away?
It's very extremely difficult because you can't really see them that much, right? Because you're far away. You're losing touch. Sometimes you're on lockdown in the feds for 2-3 months because you have to live for everyone else's actions. So even though you did not make that action, it still affected you. You're still locked down in yourself for 3 months because he went to the chow hall and he stabbed somebody. Because these two people have a problem, right? So that's affecting you and your kids. Even though you're doing your time, you're staying out of trouble, you're not in the mix. So that's one of the hardest parts of sometimes even missing their birthdays and have to send a card because you're on lockdown, and like that part really missing daddy-daughter days.
Yeah.
It's really a difficult thing.
So how has the parenting dynamic shifted now that you're out? And was it hard to step back into being a father? And what challenges do you and your children face?
Just with them getting older, right? So when you have 2 daughters, right, they're getting older, they're developing, right? Not only are they developing, they're learning new things and they're learning the songs. And now as a parent, when your mother didn't want you to listen to Lil Kim, now you don't want them to listen to Cardi. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like history just keeps repeating itself of all the stuff that just goes on, and especially with the internet, right? So the internet is one of the most dangerous things that in a parent's life, because just pick up that phone that you got them, and they can learn everything. The YouTubes is way more dangerous than the song.
So how was the parenting dynamic when you came home? Was it an easy transition? Because, you know, it seems like you stayed in touch with them the whole time while inside. So obviously they were excited when you came home, but did you find it harder to implement rules and things like that because you were away for so long? Because I know me, I
think you hit a key point of implementing rules and being the soft parent while their mom is being the tough parent, where you have to, you're going to have to be a little softer. You're the one going. You just missed 9 years of their life.
Right.
So you're coming home. That's not a good way to walk in, right? So you're going to have more fun. I spent a lot of money. You're going to be more lenient.
You're going to do, you know, you got 2 girls, I know.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So you got 2 girls. You don't want nobody showing your daughters anything.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
You want to show it to them first.
You want to show it to them first. You know what I mean? So like, you want them to do everything with their dad, right? So once you're their king and you're their hero and they look up to you, it's a whole different vibe.
I think what you said is so true about being a dad and having daughters and showing them first what no man can show them later in life, so they're not impressed by the small things and they expect those things. Those are not things that are going to impress them, but more their expectation of what their father already set. You know what I mean?
They drove every car.
I feel bad for anybody when my daughter gets older.
They got big parties. It's like,
she doesn't know what economy class looks like. So I'm like, sheesh, good luck, future boyfriend in 15 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so going to jail, sentencing day. What was it like saying goodbye to your kids and family?
I didn't let anybody come to my sentencing.
Wow.
Yeah. I wanted to
You didn't want them to see you like that?
Not like that. Like, and what they were.
And how old were your daughters when you went away, if you don't mind me asking?
I was about 33.
So you were 33 and they were, how old were they?
4 and 8.
Oh, so it was kind of hard for them to grasp, and really, 8-year-old may understand a little bit better. 4-year-old probably not, right?
Right. So they already missing, and it might be 7 and 3. I gotta
but still, those ages,
they're not fully developed yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're still developing. They're still getting into. They don't really, like, Scotland didn't really get to know me because from 1 to 3 you don't have any memory of that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like you can go to memory on your pictures and show. So it was like our first reincarnation was basically when I got out.
Came home.
Yeah.
And she knew. Okay, so what do they think about Dad, Mr. Cool Guy, Mr. Rolex, Mr. all these cars, Cartier glasses? I mean, you're a pretty cool dad. You don't, you know, I tell my daughter all the time, you're lucky you don't have a dad that has to go into an office from 9 to 5 and can be there, can show up. What do they think about Dad? How do they, what do they think about what you've been through? How do they see you? How do they, in their eyes, you know, what do they view you as? What do you think they view you as?
I think they think I'm cool. You know, hopefully.
I mean, we all think.
You know what I mean?
We're cool.
You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, like I'm your dad. Like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to be as cool as possible. So sometimes they think I'm cool, and sometimes they get on me like, oh, Dad, you're not cool. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know.
Should tell them the coolest thing in the world is to beat a life sentence.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Now, let's talk about mental health, because on this show, that's another one of a key subject we speak on is mental health. So how did you stay mentally strong while you were away? Did you have moments where you would just break down? And if so, how did you get yourself out of it?
What you have to do is, like, in there, you can't wear your feelings on your sleeve.
Right.
Everybody's watching. Everybody's looking. Right. So, you know, it's like you're in a zoo full of predators. Right. So, like, it's not really for the weak, because when I talk about the feds, a USP is the maximum security prison in federal. And when I talk about it, I always say you're in 50 states in one state. That's what the feds is, all 50 states in one. So when you walk in the room, it's somebody from this state, that state. So nobody really cares about you and your story from your state, right? Because DMX told you everybody thinks they're the man in their own hood, right? So going from the state to the feds at the highest level, it just really, it's a different feel because you have to deal with all different type of politics. So when you're just in a state jail, you're just dealing with California politics. When you're in a federal prison, you're a GD, you're a vice lord, he's a blood, he's a Crip, he's a Texas syndicate, he's a Mexican mafia, he's from DC, he's from New York, everybody has different beliefs and different things that are rules that they go by in their state, and they're trying to implicate their rules within their crew and their car in prison. So it's definitely.
So how did you stay mentally strong inside? I mean, you said
by,
you can't
by the way that you have to do it, you have to block a lot of stuff out. Right. Because you have to live in there now. Right. So you have to. You got to understand and realize this is what it is. This is what it is until it gets better. Right. So you have to live in there and make your situation in there right first. Right. Still contact your family. Still stick to your loved ones, and you really just gotta have faith, because once you lose the faith, it's gonna start showing. You're gonna start getting the gray hairs. You're gonna start getting this. You're gonna start losing your hair. All that is what I've seen with other people that lost their faith. I'm like, damn, you're what? You're 29? You're 28? Wow. Right. But the faith in what they believed in, they believed that they weren't coming home and that they were going to live in there, and it can show on how you look.
So how do you stay mentally strong now? Now that you're out, been a few years, still have to deal with our mental health. How do you stay mentally strong now?
It's the same way. It's like having faith in like chasing your goals, right? Having a plan like, I want 40 Tons to be this $100 million company. I want the doc to do this. I want the book to do this, right? I want to leave something or some kind of legacy for my kids, right? So in order to do that, with living in, California, one of the highest places to live in the world, right? So with high bills, with high gas, with inflation, with this, with that, right? With taking on all the challenges of being a independent owner of a company and trying different things and trying different hustles of everything that you're trying to do. You're trying to be independent. So when you're trying to do everything independent, you're not a boss until you take a loss. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, once you take the loss and once you, have to climb back from that and have to deal with taking a loss, industry that is failing, right? And your family and your health, you know what I mean? So like dealing with all those three different things, components, your mental health is going to go through some things, and sometimes you're going to have to cry and you're going to have to let them tears out and just let it out and start over, because it's going to feel good, and just, talk to God in silence and let him know what your problems is and what you're trying to do.
Right. So while inside, did you call somebody every day, and who was that person you called every day? And I know you're going to say Anthony probably, but was there anybody special Corvain was calling every day?
I would call Evelyn every day, and I would drive Evelyn to work, right? So I'll drive her to work and drop her off, and that would be my thing. Like,
so you call her while
she's in the car on the way to work.
Wow.
And I drive her, drop her off, and then
call her when she gets off.
Call her when she gets off. At the time, she had 2 jobs, so she was working in Nordstrom, then she'd go to her other job. But I would call her. I would call my mom, call my family, call my kids, call Anthony Trade Stocks, call Clemency.
So you had quite a roster of people to call.
Yeah, I had a roster. I had a roster.
Let's talk love and lockup, my brother. You said you was talking to Evelyn. Like, how did you manage to deal with that relationship while being inside?
I think it was easier because all I had to do was be like a shoulder to cry on. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like,
and you had all the time in the world, right?
I got the time to listen. I got the time to hear your problems. I got time to really. That's the difference, right? So you're a woman talking to a guy in jail is dangerous.
I was about to say, you're making it dangerous for us that ain't in jail. They're going to be like, we want them all to go to jail. He had time to listen.
Because what happened was women always be like, all right, just don't worry about him because he's just in jail, right? So, the results of that comes home as I come home and I date her and I get her, because at the time I know everything about her.
Right.
You know, so
Because you had all the time to be
you got all the
listen
time
and really know
So
what
I used
she
to
likes.
tell dudes, like, I used to see dudes in there and they would be like arguing with the girl on the phone. Like, bro, you're already in the worst predicament in the world.
Yeah, why are you arguing with her? You're making it worse.
What are you arguing for? You finna go in a cell with another man and lock it up in an hour.
So take
And
that
the
time.
first thing you want to do is go argue with her. No, go out and
Right.
spread love and go out and listen and go out and hear what's going on in her day. Yeah.
That's dope. That's deep. I mean, I think a lot of people need to hear that because it's true what you just said. And locked up or not,
Yeah.
you know, just listen to a woman. You know what I mean? And I think that it's safe to say that you learned that while being inside is, you know, listening to a woman and understanding a woman is probably the best, you know, way to deal with them.
And it makes your relationship better. It makes my relationship better with my kids, with their moms, with my mom, with my sister. I'm raised around nothing but women. It was my grandmother, my mom, my aunties, you know what I mean? So it was nothing but women I was raised upon, you know what I mean? So I have a love for women and I have nothing but respect for them. I still open doors to this day.
All right, I want to talk about a quick, I guess this would be a funny, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, you know, you served a lot of time and seen a lot of things and kind of know how it works on the inside and not kind of know, you know how it works on the inside.
Yeah.
So how do you feel when you see people who are incarcerated now making TikToks on social media? How does that even work inside? Like, how does that even possible? I mean, I know people get phones in, but like, come on, TikTok and Instagram, they're making full, like, you know, content. You got content creators in jail now.
Yeah.
How does that work? And how do you feel about it?
At first, like back in the day, a person would get on your ass about that because not only are you making it hot, right? If you show the facility as that, well, how else can the phone get in there? So you're making the police hot. You're making the building hot. You're making
everything hot.
Everything is hot, on fire, because now you got some people that are not into that. They want to know, well, how you got the pimp at the phone because he can threaten me or he can do this or they're scared or this person can do this or they can make this call or whatever, right? So now they're calling out to jail. Yeah, how did they get the phone? Now they storming, taking everyone's phone off this one dude that made a post. They came in the building because all it takes is one person to call and complain. Now they're going to come take all the phones. So the same person that brought you the phone is taking the phone, and now they got to buy it back, right? So there's only one way you can get the phone in,
right?
You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't.
Have you seen the videos? Are they enjoyable to you? Really?
I mean, I'm kind of old school, so it's like that's kind of like
it's not cool to you.
It's not cool, and it's kind of dry snitching.
Yeah,
right. You know, so it's dry snitching on the person that risked their job to bring you the phone. Right. You feel what I'm saying? So,
all right. So you want to tell us about anything else you got going on? Any projects that we should be aware of? Obviously, we know 40 Tons is in multiple states.
Yeah.
If you want to name those states, you can. And if anything else you want to talk about, like maybe the two of us or you and 3 is 4, maybe working on some, not maybe, are working on some things.
We are
working on some things about your life story, huh?
Yeah,
want to talk about, and don't give too much away, but if you want to tell the people, you know, any of the projects you have coming up that they don't know about and things you can talk about.
Okay. We can give them just a little bit of brief. We got Look Into My Eyes, the book, the story coming out, right? So as far as what you're talking about, it's really, really, the pot is cooking and the pot is stirring up and the pot is definitely, I just want to let y'all know the pot has finally got the sauce on it, right? And it's mirroring up and you can start smelling it now. So we're cooking up something that you can smell, something that's going to like live forever, you know, and like that's going to go for legacy and legacy and legacy. And there's no LA story that's been told like this. So the way that we're going to do it and we're going to tell it is
going to be the best way possible.
It's definitely the best way.
So what's good? What are you excited about or inspired by right now? Any book, podcast, song, quote, anything you can tell us that's inspiring you right now?
It's just a lot. I'm really so tied into the things that I want to do and the things that, and I'm tied into like my crew. I listen to my crew's music. You know what I mean? I listen to Roddy Rose. I listen to sport. You know what I mean? Like I like to.
That inspires you. Right
I like to get everything needs to be more independent. Like we bleed 40 tons.
Yeah.
Like I literally wear it every single day. I have 62 jackets now. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just, we bleed it. We think of different ideas on how, and speaking of the states, we're going to Minnesota next, Oklahoma.
Congratulations.
We just launched in New York, 11 stores in New York. Where I think we're in 16 stores out here. We're on ease.com, Weed Maps.
You're everywhere.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
making it work. You went from illegal to legal.
Yeah. So we're trying to move the brand.
Well, they say
forward.
legacy. They say legacy to
legacy to legal.
Yeah, legacy to legal. That's what they call it, right? That's amazing, man. That's what's up.
So we're praying on a license right now. We're just a brand that's it's 26 states legal. We want to be in all 26 states. If you get off the plane and you go to 7-Eleven, you can get Doritos. So we want you to be able to get 40 tons in the marijuana stores the same way you know that Doritos is in there. You don't even have to ask. You go to 7-Eleven, they got Doritos.
Right. I like to always ask all my guests this for the person watching that may be dealing with things or don't really have a mental health regimen. What have you done for your mental health lately, and what do you do for your mental health? I know, you and I off camera spoke about a lot of the things you are going through, and we won't discuss that. Mm-hmm. But what have you done, and what do you do for your mental health?
Last night I prayed and I cried, and I think that's good, right? To go and let out and really I'm just sweeping, right? I swept my hallway, and I just asked God. I said, God, I need more blessings. I need more of this. I need more of that, to be able to do this, to do that, right? And let God know everything. He already knows everything that I'm already physically going through, right? So I don't have to make him aware of that, right? So since he already knows that, all I have to do is enlighten him on the things that I want to change and the things that I want to move progress forward. I want to give my daughter a personal chef so she can be with me. This, that, and other, So in order to do things, you got to ask, So I was told that I got one of the richest dads. You feel what I'm saying? I got the richest dad. So all I do is I just go to the bank. I ask him in some kind of way, just out of nowhere, every single time. He does not let me down. He really provides for me everything that I need. Right.
So, I love that analogy of God, man. I don't think there was any other quote or better saying to end this podcast with, man. I really appreciate you coming out, learning a little bit more about you, letting my fan base know a little bit more about Corvain Cooper, Mr. 40 Tons himself, breathing, living. I know we spoke about it in the car how it just feels amazing. And some days you feel like you just have to pinch yourself, right? You just want to pinch yourself, right?
Yeah, damn.
You're really here, right?
Am I still living? Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Man. Wait a minute, this shit's still going on. It hasn't stopped yet. Yeah.
And that's why it's important to speak up for more people that are just like you and we're just like you, still in prison for the plant.
Because I don't want to just take the second chance and do nothing with it.
Right.
Because then it's damn, you could let somebody else get that second chance. So I want to be, I want to be the front runner for it. I want to really make changes. I want to be able to go talk in prisons. I want to be able to go physically. Because when they see me, I know how to talk to them. If I go talk to a juvenile hall, I know how to make them see me in them.
Yeah, you relate. You fly, you come through, you wear the stuff that they like. You have the jewelry. And sometimes people say, oh, that's flashy. But sometimes that's the only way to connect to the younger generation.
That's the only way. They're not going to understand.
They want to look. You know what I mean? And still say, well, these are the cool things to do and these are the uncool things to do.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming out, Corvain. I really do, man. Yeah. It's your guy, JoJo Simmons. This is the For Good podcast where we focus on the good and never the bad, where we're measured on what we do and not what we have. Signing out, y'all. Peace.